Everybody, Michael here from Replica Airguns with another tabletop review video. Today we're looking at the Sig Sauer Spartan and Max Michel CO2 blowback BB pistols, and this is the tabletop review. Now, I have already done a preview video, and generally speaking, my preview videos go into a fair amount of detail, but we will be diving in a little deeper. We'll be doing some more comparisons, things like that, getting more into the specs, and I'll be talking about some of my pros and cons for these guns. Alright, let's get right into the specifications. Both of these guns are pretty much the same, so the specifications are going to go for both of them. They're just cosmetically slightly different. So they both have blowback operation with mostly all metal construction, so slide, frame, all metal. One thing you're not going to find that's really metal would be the magazine. These guns use 12-gram CO2 cartridges. They shoot 4.5mm steel BBs. They both have 16-shot dropout plastic magazines. They both weigh about 2 pounds or around 930 grams. They're claimed to shoot at an FPS of 410. They both have smooth bore barrels and shoot in single action only, like a real 1911. And they both have white dot sights front and back, but they're non-adjustable. You'll also find a traditional working safety and a working grip safety on both of these guns. And they have an easy cam lever CO2 loading system for puncturing the CO2 and keeping it in place. And you'll also find under barrel rails for accessories like lasers and tack lights. Now, both of these pistols are replicas of real steel Sig Sauer pistols. So there is a Spartan and there is a Max Michel 1911 in the Sig Sauer lineup. And you'll find those guns, I believe, in 45 caliber, possibly 40 caliber as well. So let's do a real quick comparison. And one of my viewers, like, I sometimes overlook things. It's been a while since I actually took a look at the Daisy Winchester Model 11. And someone pointed out, or actually a few people pointed out, that these guns are really just kind of reskinned versions of the Daisy Model 11. So let's take a look and see what they're talking about. I'll just pull one of them off for now and bring that Daisy in here, this Winchester. So you'll see very similar. Even the stick magazines work in each other's guns. Okay, so you can see that there definitely something going on here, right? You can see that these do work, right? It's just basically the only difference would be that they've added a little extension on the bottom here. But other than that, the same. They both have this cantilever system. Okay, so they both have the same cantilever CO2 system, right? The only difference is I find that the Winchester, the Daisy Winchester, has a nicer, it stays on, this cover stays on a little bit better. So you have to pull this off. When you pull that off, it then pops it off, right? So whereas with this one, I don't believe it pops it off when you pull it out. Oh, it does a little bit, but it's just not on there. It's just, this comes off so much easier. So that's sort of a little bit of a con, how the cover comes off a little too easy perhaps. Now on the Daisy, you've got this little button here. It's like a safety, but you actually have to push the button down, okay, to get it to go, and it's in kind of an awkward position. Whereas on the Sig, it's in a good position. It's right there on the top, so when you push it down, it's easier to push down. It's more natural, right? And on the Sigs as well, you'll notice that the grip safety actually works. See, I can't press the trigger, but I can when I push the grip safety. On the Winchester, however, no grip safety required. It's just for show. So there's definitely some slight changes to the new Sig design. You know, obviously cosmetically different, right? Barrels, you're gonna see they're kind of the same. They're both not that recessed. They both have really nice triggers, right? They're both claimed to shoot around 410 FPS. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But the Daisy Winchester is just more of a traditional, you know, 1911, right? Your standard out of the box 1911. Nothing too fancy, right? Not really, you know, set up for competition or anything like that. No rails, you know, no fancy sights, right? So anyways, let's take a look at another gun here. We'll switch these guys up. Okay, let's take a look at the Swiss Arms. Now this is a KWC gun distributed through Cybergun. So it's just basically like a KWC 1911, similar to Tanfoglio Witness, you know, all the other KWC full blowback guns, right? This one actually has some CO2 in it, so I got to be a little careful. But these guns have full blowback operation, full-size dropout metal magazines. You know, they're definitely more realistic in a lot of ways, right? So lots of heavy blowback action, full slide movement, right? Full dropout mags. Definitely the most realistic 1911 going right now in terms of, you know, affordable 1911s and BB guns. But the downside is these guys eat up a lot of CO2. They shoot just over 300 FPS, you know, you're maybe 320, and that's pretty much it. You're not going to get a lot of shots per CO2 with these guns. Whereas I found with the Daisy, now on the cold day that I did shoot this, we'll talk about it right now, I got roughly, what did I get now? I was getting about 350 to 360 FPS, but it was a cold day. So we'll see. This is an older design as well, so we'll see if the new design gets perhaps a little bit better FPS. I also got about a 2-inch shot grouping, roughly from 30 feet, and I was able to get, I believe it was, let me just double check my notes here. I was able to get about, 5 16-shot magazines with this gun, and then on the last couple shots I was actually having to pull the hammer back a little bit because the slide wasn't kicking it back, but pretty much 5 magazines, 16-shot magazines, so that's generally a little bit more than you get with the KWC guns. And again, that was a colder day, so we'll have to see what happens when I shoot it in the C-can, when I test the SIGs out, not this guy, but when I test the SIGs out, right? I didn't mention it yet, but both of these guns are made in Japan. We'll take a quick look at the boxes and packaging. So the Spartan, which is the bronze gun, right? And we'll get into looking at it in a second in detail. But you'll find that it comes in this cardboard box, okay? Specifications on it, right? You know, I got your nice graphics on the back. It's nice that it comes in a box. It does have that kind of window there so you can see in and look at the gun. That's kind of nice packaging. But the Max Michel, I was calling it the Max Michael. I'm not sure with these French Canadians or French people in general, if they go by Michel when they're speaking with their French friends and stuff, or if they go by Michael, you know, when they're talking with more you know, Canadian or Americans or English people, right? So anyways, this is the packaging for the Max Michel. And it's similar, you know, in terms of specs and everything, but just not as nice a packaging. I'm not sure why Sig decided to go with a box for the one and clear clamshell for the other. It's kind of strange. Both of them do come with some BBs, okay, not a lot, but they do come with BBs. Both of them do come with manuals, and both manuals are, you know, they have different graphics, although the information is going to be identical, but the graphics are different, right? So you're going to find information inside, right? How to load it, right? How to use the cam system. I'll kind of go over that too. How to load the magazine, how to aim it, cocking the hammer, right? Stuff like that. Okay. All right, let's do a quick walk around of both these guns. Take a look at them a little up close and more personal here. We'll take a look at the Spartan first, okay? So you can see that's right in the slide, in the metal, but we do have the graphics there. They're printed on. We have a printed on serial number. We have the caliber right in the frame. Right, here's your slide catch release. It does lock back after the last shot. There's your safety. You do need to push that down, that little button there, as you push it down, because if you just try to force it, it's not going to work. Okay, you do have the nice, really nice trigger. Look at how this is just so short. Right, really nice trigger. Spartan markings, again, these just come off pretty easy. Got your cam loading system. Okay, we'll show that in a bit here, how to do that. Got your magazine release. Kind of your, get the focus here. Okay, you got your magazine. You just pull the follower down, right? Load your BBs in there. That's kind of open and kind of not my favorite thing. It would be nice if they actually put maybe like a plate on the bottom or something, right? Okay, but nice Nice looking gun. Got your white dot sights in the back. Open ejection port. Right? White dot in the front. Right? There's your warning instructions. At least they're color matched. Got your rail here for accessories. Good weight to this gun. Made in Japan. More Spartan designs here. Graphics. Right? And you'll notice the barrel isn't recessed. So let's take a look at the Max Michel. Okay, there we go. Same right in the slide there. You've got the Max Michel signature, your rail, caliber. Slightly different trigger on this gun, right? A little bit different. It's more of a straight trigger. Right? Same slide, catch release. You notice the slide doesn't go back quite as far as the KWC guns, but it does cycle pretty good. Same safety. More Max Michel licensing. Right? Same grip system, right? Same magazine release, same magazine. Everything's pretty much the same. It's just cosmetically slightly different. Right, I do want to show you guys how to load this. If I can find a CO2 here. So you pop the cover off, right? Pull this out. You put it in butt first, right? So butt first, it won't go in the other way. And then basically you just push that in. Now this has been punctured already, so it was a bit easier than it normally would be. But that's how you do it, right? So then top comes out first. Right? You can't load it with the top in there. It won't go in, right? You got to go bottom first, like that, and then drop it in. Okay, but pretty straightforward, pretty easy to load. Again, this cover, it isn't any tighter when the CO2 is in it. I was wondering if it would be firmer with the CO2 and if it would grab that CO2, but it doesn't. It's on there, but you know, it's not going to just fall off, but it does come off pretty easy. If you were to just, like, if this were to hit something on the edge, it would come off pretty easy. See how easy that is? Right? So that's a little bit of a concern of mine. You might lose that. Just keep an eye on it. Right? Nice guns though. Alright, let's go over some of the pros and the cons. Well, there's lots of metal in these guns with good weight to them. They do feel really good in the hand. They do feel really solid and really well put together. They're both really good overall replicas of the real steel 1911 Sig Sauer pistols. Now I'll go over some of the exceptions really quickly now. You're not going to find rails on either of these guns, and you're also not going to find the same sights. The sights are different. They'd be adjustable on both guns, and the Max Michel is going to have like your target sights, right? Adjustable with an optical sight in the front. You're going to have a completely different rear sight that's fully adjustable in the back on the real steel version. And of course, you're not going to have these little stick mags. So those are the differences between the guns. But in general, they're pretty good replicas overall. Now they both have really nice single action triggers, very short, very crisp, nice and light. And they're both fully licensed through SIG with all the appropriate markings on these guns. I like the cam lever system for easy CO2 loading, no Allen keys required. And they both have working grip safeties, which is nice. It's a bit of a plus over the Winchester Model 11, which doesn't have a working grip safety. And based on my experience with the Winchester 1911, you can expect fairly decent blowback feel and a little higher FPS than you'd find on a KWC 1911. And they both have white dot sights front and back and a rail for accessories under the barrel. Some cons, of course, we've talked about already, but the stick magazine, even if it were metal, that would have helped. Just the plastic magazine, kind of a bit of a turnoff. A nice heavy metal magazine would have been at least a plus. And again, both of these guns have rails, which is kind of a plus, but it's also a bit of a con if you're into realism, because neither one of these guns in the real steel versions actually has a rail on it. So that could be a negative for some people looking for more authenticity. And again, the sights are different than what you'd find on the real steel guns, especially the Max Michel, where you'd normally find tactical, fully adjustable sights. Now, I wouldn't have minded a slightly more recessed barrel just to give the gun a little bit more realistic look, but perhaps the longer barrel gives it a bit more FPS. And again, that left side grip comes off pretty easy. I know it's the access grip for the CO2, but it could have been a little firmer. Alright, as of right now, neither one of these guns is in our replica Airgun store, but we are working on it. We're seeing if we can work with SIG and get some of these guns in the stores. Not just these ones, but the pellet pistols and the rifles would be nice as well. Alright, thanks for watching another Replica Airguns video. Don't forget to subscribe. Check me out on Facebook and Twitter. Username is Replica Airguns. Also come on down to replicaairguns.com where we have articles, posts, reviews. I also have additional high quality photos of these guns and all the guns I review over there at replicaairguns.com. We also have our Canada and US online Replica Airgun stores located at replicaairguns.ca and replicaairguns.us, where we sell air guns, BB guns, pellet guns, airsoft guns, blank guns, knives, and other accessories. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.